sure her company is well. And she's been there for 25 years now. And guess what? She told me, she said, you know what? She said, there's very, very seldom open. Because people don't know.
Let me ask you something.
And
let me ask you a question. She's working for a huge company, right?
Mm-hmm.
DuPont, corporate. We're going to talk about the difference of small business and corporations, because it's a whole different thing, okay? The question you got to ask her is, which happiness came first? Because that's the thing. She may be happy today. She wasn't there when DuPont started. So did the employees' happiness come first, and now they're producing? Or did the customers' happiness come first? They got revenue, they were able to make the employees happy, and now they're producing. That's the deeper meaning, or the deeper query you gotta ask her. She's happy today, but we're like mavericks in this room, okay? We're like starting businesses, we're starting legacies, we're starting ideas. It's a whole different dynamic. It's a whole different thing in walking into a corporation with tons of resources, publicly traded, all this stuff. You can afford to do certain things. But in this room, we're talking about small business. Now, that's my expertise. Showing you how to go from idea to small business to growing business to great wealth, right? There are certain behaviors that got to take place. It's not the same. You can't do the same thing as a corporation. So when we say DuPont.
Oh, no, it's called DuPont. DuPont still.
Oh, okay. I thought you said DuPont. Okay, but it's a huge corporation.
It's a large company, but it's not.
When you talk about that, we can't really compare to a company that's huge and say, well, what they do is what I'll do, and that's going to help me grow. They're at a different level now. Bam. So once you hit a certain level, now you change your dynamics and do different things. Because I'm going to tell you, for example, huge corporations offer CEOs big compensation packages, give them golden parachutes, the whole nine, right? They come in, they work hard. Maybe the founder of that company, Michael Dell, Bill Gates, these guys can now go chill out because they can do this with their CEOs. Back in the 70s and 80s, when they were growing, could they do that? They couldn't. They were their own CEO, and they couldn't hardly even pay themselves. So it's a different behavior from what they could have done then in order to grow, for what they can do now to stay growing at the next level where they're at in their business.
Right.
For example, and this may sound very, well, it's going to sound whatever. I just can't help myself. This is just how I operate, right? Okay, so understanding economics. I teach like 8 different economics classes, right? One of the things in economics that people have a tough time really stomaching or accepting, which is very true, is small countries, small nations. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We got a lot to go through, right? Small nations, third world countries, going from an agriculture economy to a manufacturing and technology economy like what we have now, to go from there to here requires intense labor with little to no wages. It's just a fact. Which means that a nation that implements slavery will grow much faster than the nation that doesn't. Now, slaves are not happy employees. Can we even call them employees? I don't think we can. That's oxymoron, right? They're not. But that whole institution of what is being done to those people is what lends to becoming a superpower of a nation. It's just the nature of the beast. So we have the United States that did that, became a superpower, and part of keeping third world countries from rising is making sure they don't do the same thing. So it sounds good. America's going around saying, no, slavery is wrong, child labor is wrong, you got to stop it, we got to break that up. But it's what got America to become America. Am I making sense for corporations? Is that making sense? It's what you're doing as a third world nation. You are a third world nation as a small business. To become from a third world nation to a superpower requires intense labor with little wages. Maybe slave labor. Sometimes you're not paying yourself. But you're taking all the headaches and you're slaving. But in order to go from there to here, that's what has to be done. So when we ask this question, you got to look at it realistically, because at different levels require a different answer.
That's right.
But the level that we are at in this room, to growing, you definitely have to say which one. I'm not gonna say what I say. I'm just laying out
What would you say?
the argument. I say
Like you being a
nothing.
business owner.
I say nothing. I said a whole lot. I thought I just said it.
Yeah.
Didn't I say it?
Yeah.
But I said it, but I said it, right? Yeah, I said it without saying it, but I said it. So that's really when you think about you're chasing economic activity, you're going after an economic situation. We're not going after a humanitarian situation or a nice moral situation, right? You gotta have morals and humanity in what you're doing. But you're really chasing an economic situation. You're chasing profit, you're chasing sustainability, you're chasing a big business. In order to do that, from an idea, from nothing to something, Facebook, do you remember their first corporate office? A 4-bedroom house with like 20 people living in it. They couldn't focus on what the users wanted. They couldn't focus on the employees saying, listen, you're gonna have a office here, this, that. That's not how it happens. But when we read the textbooks and we go to colleges and even some workshops, they make the mistake of projecting those same principles that corporations have on you as a small business, and you never get anywhere. Because you're constantly practicing these things that they're telling you that was learned in textbooks and case studies that does not apply to you. Okay,
Right
I
now.
gotta move. I gotta move. All right. Forget that. We still doing it. What do you consider success in business? What is success in business to you? Huh? Right. Quick reading. All right. So what else?
Financial growth.
Financial growth. Okay. You're going into business. You're obviously not going into a situation to be a failure. You're going into something to be successful, right? So how do you know what is success if you're just going after it? Have you even put it on the table to say, this is what I see success as? How do you know your destination? How do you know you're arriving if you don't